Okay, it's time to get into the tidbits again. It's that time of the week. So, what I came across, for like instance, for start off with the usual D&D, even though I'll probably keep reiterating like the big messes that the Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro has been doing with it, and with things like with the pre-release of Vecna Eve of Ruin, because apparently some people didn't get their bundles, or it was the switch and bait where like, okay, you if you ordered after a certain date you didn't get this and you had to wait, and like it was kind of a mess. So that I got mine through like a local gaming store that I go. So it's a good idea, instead of going directly. I would say directly to like a Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast. I'd say get stuff from like your local gaming store, pre-order from them, so you might not have those issues and stuff. Like I didn't have any issues. So, and of course, the old news is that like the whole layoff back in December, and like the whole OGL scandal and everything. So, but anyway, that's kind of old news. So one of the things I came across is one of the new products that's coming out to showcase the 50th anniversary is Worlds and Realms. It's a 368-page illustrated book that's going to be getting into pretty much all the campaign settings, Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, Eberron, Greyhawk, Spelljammer. So, like in a sense, it's showcasing, just like in the Vecna, you've ruined all the different campaign settings that you get to go through in D&D that have come up that have popped up over the decades and everything. So now each iteration has had, in a sense, their own flagship campaign setting. Like for instance, third edition, it was all about the Greyhawk, and of course in fifth edition now it's all about the Forgotten Realms. And so and of course, back in like the late '80s, early '90s, and everything, Dragonlance was very popular. Of course, like with all the books, and of course, you had the computer games, and the whole was based off the whole module that Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss and that whole group made as an adventure and everything. So that was popular back in I would say it hit its peak in like the late '80s, early '90s and stuff. But I mean, it's still popular and everything, because like one of the products that I'll be going over pretty soon is the Warriors of Krynn, which is kind of like a companion to the Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen campaign adventure that you can do. So this World and Realms book is, like I said, a 368 page illustrated book that's going to get into all of those campaign settings. Kind of you put like a kind of like artwork and pictures to everything. So this is just another product that they're going to be bringing out for, like I said, the 50th anniversary of the D&D's release. So another, now moving gears to Pathfinder. One of the things that I came up with a lot of the modules that are out there. So in a sense, the adventures, and of course I like adventures because of the simplicity. So for DMs, it takes out like I've said in other videos and stuff, like it takes out a lot of the legwork for the DMs. So you're not necessarily having to do all the world building. You don't have to necessarily sit there, write up a bunch of NPCs, a bunch of monsters. You don't have to create a bunch of villains. You don't have to do the whole elaborate the backstory for the adventure and everything. So some of the modules that they have, they saw, were Academy of Secrets, Broken Chains, Carrion Hill, City of Golden Death, Cradle of Night, the Crypt of Everflame, the Cult of Ebon, and the Curse of the River Sky. And of course, those are just some of the adventure modules that they have out there. And so, well, I said, I am a fan of stuff like this adventures, pre-made adventure books and modules and stuff, because it takes out a lot of the legwork for DMs. And so, if you're a first-time DM, or you're still a new DM, kind of learning the craft and everything, these pre-made adventures and these modules and everything are great, because like I said, it takes a lot of the legwork out for you, so you have everything right there. So all you basically have to do is crack open the book, read through it, and okay, I got all my NPCs, I got the world already built for me, I got all the villains, and so I just kind of have to play through it. And so Now I can sit here and kind of tweak it and everything in case like things go sideways or whatever, because a lot of times that does happen in gaming sessions and everything. So, but the adventure gives you the basic foundation of the adventure, and like so that way you can kind of navigate it a lot easier, and so you can get that experience. So that way, when you do get like, okay, well, I want to do my own world building, and I want to do all the NPCs because I want to get all do everything myself and everything. These adventures gives you that experience. Like, okay, so this is how like these creators of these modules and adventures did it and everything. So this is getting into like the whole idea for the Pathfinder modules is like, okay, here's several that you can get into to get that experience as a DM and running through several sessions or several campaigns. So that way, when you do eventually get into that like whole world building and the getting everything together with the, like I said, the NPCs, the villains, the whole 9 yards and everything, you have like a litany of experience with running pre-made adventures and everything. So it's a lot easier for you instead of just jumping headlong into like the world building and doing everything yourself the first time. So like now the third tidbit that I'll be talking about today is another board game. Like I've been talking about like a Hero Quest before, but the Avalon Hill has just announced like recently that they're coming out with the fifth edition of the board game Talisman. Now this is a game that I have never played myself, but it does look interesting and everything. So I was watching a video the other day, like and the guy like on Ash Quest, he's all about the Hero Quest. He had a video where he was talking about like a Talisman fifth edition. So like and he's been playing it furnished since third edition. So it's like this kind of like the board game version of D&D and like having multiple editions, but it's been around only since '84, so it's a good 10 years younger than D&D and everything. But like still, we're now getting the fifth edition, and so like it's looking like it's going to be like in a sense like being able to be in a sense somewhat backwards compatible, and that you can bring like fourth like edition Talisman into fifth edition. So this is like a board game on par with a Hero Quest, and like the same kind of concept is you get a bunch of miniatures, and you get a board and you get like a dice that you can play the actual board game and everything. So the big thing I like about the board games, especially Hero Quest, is the miniatures. So now if you go to like your local gaming store, like mine that I go to, they sell like a lot of like single miniatures for like $5 a pop, or like they'll have like a 2-pack of like named heroes or villains for maybe like $15, or they'll do like a hobgoblin war pack for like you get like six, seven, maybe 8 miniatures for like $45 and everything. The great thing about these board games is like you're getting like 25, 30 miniatures and the board game, and the base Hero Quest. You can the base game for Hero Quest. You go to like Amazon, you can see like $100. Like, why am I? You may ask, why am I going to spend $100 on miniatures? And like, but like if you look at it, like the concept of like, you get a board, so you can set the board up for a dungeon crawl. You get furniture and like a door, like doors. You get like tables. You get like a fireplace, a little tomb. You get like bookcases, like a torture rack, and you get tiles that you can use with the board. Plus, you're getting like the 25, 30 miniatures on top of that. So if you like, especially with expansions, you look at getting like the expansions, you're still getting like another like a good 20 or 30 miniatures in the expansions, and those are usually about like $40, like 40, $50. So the miniatures alone, if you look at like how like you're spending like I said, $5 for a single, maybe like $15 for named two named villains or heroes, or like a 45, $50 for like a war pack or something. You're getting like a lot of more miniatures for in the board games than you are buying them individually. So in the context of miniatures, like board games are definitely well worth miniatures are worth their bang and buck and everything. And so, that's where like board games and everything come in handy. And so like of course you do get those crossovers between board games. So like you could get Talisman, like, oh hey look, there's some cool miniatures and everything. This game is fun and everything, but I want to see if I can use these Talisman miniatures for Hero Quest, or vice versa. Like, let me see if I can use these Hero Quest miniatures for my Talisman game. So that's where you can kind of get like the neat crossover between board games, is that you can use the miniatures not only for other board games like the Talisman and Hero Quest example I just used, but the great thing is you can also use the miniatures to, in a sense, jump the bridge to uh, things like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. So you can use those miniatures in your campaigns that you do for those two. So that's where like the whole board games come into handy with getting those miniatures. So like I said, the Talisman 5th edition is coming out, and so that's another board game that talk about. Like I do plan on getting into it eventually, even though I haven't gotten it yet, and I have yet to get into it myself. It is a board game that is looking interesting.